Are the 76ers staying in Philly? Somehow, don't believe the hype about New Jersey, y'all. We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Hello, I'm Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. John has some news to report today, and we got a lot to talk about in addition to that. First, we're going to talk about the Sixers arena. All right, it's been a lot of stuff going on, a lot of talk, a lot of people speculating and all this and that, but John is going to set us straight. Secondly, we want to talk about Jeff Dowtin Jr. Jeff Dowtin has been playing well in the summer league, and he's going to get a two-way contract. Now, mind you, he had a two-way last year. They elevated him to a full-fledged contract, and then all of a sudden he was waived, and now he's going to be a two-way player again. And lastly, we just want to give a little recap of our thoughts and observations and things like that of the 76ers Summer League. So without delaying it, Mitch, you got some news where, talk about the Summer League. I mean, not the Summer League, about the arena. There's a lot of people who came out last week was saying it's going to New Jersey. It's going to Camden. It's going to Camden.
Not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. Talk about it.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you, having talked to multiple sources, that the city and the Sixers are very, very close to finalizing a deal on a new $1 billion plus arena for Center City. I can say with confidence that an announcement is imminent. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen in Philly. It's going to happen in Center City. And what I've been told from my sources, that they're very far down the road with negotiations. And I'm also hearing that the votes are there in city council, which is hugely important. And I'm told there's absolutely, positively, unequivocally nothing to the stories about the Sixers possibly moving across the river to Camden. From what I'm hearing, Mayor Parker and their team are taking a leadership role in these negotiations. So from my sources, from what I'm hearing, the Sixers new arena in Philly is a done deal.
Okay. So you saying further down the road, do you mean like it's something? I mean, when do you mean by that further down the road? I mean, it's something that's like it's not happened immediately or anything like that.
I'm saying it's imminent. You'll
Okay.
There'll be something coming down the road soon. That's one thing I haven't nailed down specifically is a timeline, but I know it's going to happen.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on this though? I mean, when you think of it, like, is it, one of the things it's kind of like, I mean, do you think there's a benefit of this? I mean, like, I know we never really talked about it. Like, it's going to happen, but do you think it's going to be a good thing for the city?
I think it's going to be a good thing for the city. I think, I mean, in this economic climate, it's hard to look at a $1.5 billion arena that's going to be paid for. It's going to be paid for by a private enterprise, by a private company. There's not going to be any, Philadelphia. It's not going to tax the citizenry, and Yeah, I think it's a great thing, to be quite honest. If you're going to have this arena in town, I know people in Philadelphia, we tend to worry about the small things. We start talking about, well, how am I going to get there on SEPTA? What's the parking going to be like? They'll listen. If you're going to put that building downtown, and remember, I worked in Washington when they put the Verizon Center up in and literally in Chinatown, and it revitalized that. It was an injection of life into that area that wasn't there previously. I'm sure that they'll be mindful of Chinatown, that they don't want to destroy Chinatown. That was never part of it, but they want to have an arena down there that will generate incredible revenue. And again, you've got a private group talking about paying for it. They're not leaning on city residents to fund this structure. So, it's a good thing to me.
So what was the thing? Because it seems like there's been a debate it's literally been a debate for over back and forth. Should they do it? Should they not do it? What do you think has been the deciding factor to move ahead with it and go ahead and do it?
I think the city recognizes the benefits of having a sports arena downtown. They've they downtown. I must be quite honest. That area of Philadelphia that they've been targeting is not really a hustling and bustling area. The gallery 2, the fashion district, it really hasn't done much for that area. And listen, Philadelphia wants to be a world-class city. This is an opportunity to move further down that road. So, I mean, those are the benefits of it. And again, I think it revitalizes downtown significantly to have that building. If you look at cities that have done that with sporting arenas downtown, look at Baltimore. Look what the baseball stadium has done for that downtown area, and that seems to be where the municipalities are now building stadiums and arenas. They're building them downtown. But I think the biggest thing is that this arena will take the burden. It's being built privately. It's not going to be built with it's not going to dig into the public's pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing is, I guess the thing with the Chinatown down and see, it's weird. I'm glad that you spoke on that because, I don't know about the Chinatown in DC, but I heard like some people saying it destroyed the Chinatown down there.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you go down there, it is no longer a Chinatown.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's a China block. Like, you know what I mean? But then you have all these other restaurants and you have all these hotels and you have a lot of different things. The one thing that I will say is like they were trying to compare it to Boston. They were trying to compare it to other places. I mean, the only place that I could compare it to is like LA Live, like LAX, and in Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if you go downtown, and downtown was like really bad, like worse than people think this downtown is bad. Like it ain't bad, like other places.
It's not.
Like so you go down there and then you see what they did with the Renaissance, with the Ritz-Carlton, with all the other hotels, the high-end restaurants. They have ESPN has an ESPN studio down there. All that began. They got a nice movie theater down there, but all that began with the arena. Before that, no one went down there. So, I could see that. But it is what it is. We'll see what's going to happen when announcements comes out and all this other stuff. But your boy Mitch right here letting y'all know that don't worry about the Camden thing.
Camden's out. And Keith, also, if you think about it, that section of Chinatown in Washington didn't compare to Philadelphia. It was that area was kind of run down. Chinatown here in Philadelphia is much larger, and I trust that the city will be very mindful and respectful of the residents in that area. I trust that they will. But I mean, if you just look at it, if you look at Edelman told Crossing Broad that they were not going to leave the city months ago. He told him that. Josh Shapiro, who could be on the top of the presidential ticket now, in whatever capacity he may be in, we don't know. It's a huge fan of the 76ers. So if you look at the voices who want this team to be in Philly, you kind of look at, and Shapiro said that the Sixers would not leave. They would do everything in his power. And he's a huge basketball fan. So I feel confident, and having spoken to the sources that I've spoken, I feel extremely confident to put this out there that arena is going to be in Philadelphia. And we can talk about that maybe a little bit more on the other side. But right now, we want to talk about FanDuel. Like you said earlier, Keith, I love the sports, and I love them so much that I never want them to stop. But the NBA playoffs are gone, and we just got fewer games to watch. The sports simply aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Do you sometimes have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Well, make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single solitary day.
Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. So, Mitch, where do you think when this is all done, said and done, where do you think this will what do you think it will mean to the city? What do you think it will mean to the organization as a whole, the 76ers organization?
Well, I mean, obviously a new arena brings excitement to any municipality. I mean, people watch the construction. You watch things go down. You watch things come up. I think ultimately, I think it's going to be a financial boom for the city. I really do, and I think that's hugely important. They've talked about the focus on, the Sixers talked about the focus on finding, making sure that there's obviously going to be the construction benefit. There's going to be retail and all sorts of opportunities, that will sprout up around that arena. It will bring accepted benefits from it. So I think financially it's great. I think it gives the 76ers a showplace arena. Again, they're talking, it takes a bare minimum of $1 billion to build these arenas. And I'm sure if you look at the Harris, Blitzer, and Edelman group, I mean, they just bought the Redskins. Harris just bought the Redskins. Excuse me, the Commanders. So, I think it's going to be top flight, and I've always felt that way. I think it's, from a 76ers fan standpoint, hopefully it will help with recruitment of top flight players who want to play in a top flight arena. That's the way I see it. I think it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win for everybody.
I think the recruitment is going to have a lot to do with what happens the next couple of years too. Mm-hmm. Like, build it, they will come is for the fans. But I feel like, let's face it, the fans are going to go wherever. Like they gonna go wherever
They will. They will
you're
come
a
to New
diehard
Jersey.
fan, you gonna come.
Yeah.
You gonna go see it. Like we talked about it, like when the stuff said Jersey, even though it's not happening, they was gonna go no matter what. They was
Right.
gonna find a way to go to a game. You know what I mean? This and that. So the only thing is my only concern, and I'm happy for it, but my only concern is, and this is like again, this is just for fans. Like, okay, so I like when you go to San Francisco and you see that arena, right?
Mhm.
And this is just us talking with the
Yeah.
new arena. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's this and that. Every time you go there, it's like a wow factor. But when you go watch the game, it lost a lot of it, the intimacy that the one had when they played in Oakland, right?
Right.
And there's also is a different type of clientele there too. Like
Yeah.
before, it was like fun. Now it's more like you see the suits, you see
Corporate.
this, you see that. It's extremely corporate, and it's kind of like now again, you know what I mean? Like if the Warriors were still winning those chips the way they were,
Yeah.
who knows it would have been different or not. Well, they did win the championship there the one year. But
Right.
like it's kind of like to me, it's just I just hope it doesn't lose some of that. You know what I mean? That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't lose it.
Yeah.
And I think it will. It will lose some because that's what they all do.
They
Because
all
people
do.
get priced out. They're going to start, all this and that, seat licenses, all that, and it's just going to be tough. So you got to make sure you have a great product. That's why Steph Curry can stay there as long as he wants. but
Yeah.
but outside of that, it's that's just my concern. That's just my concern when it comes down to that. These new arenas. Now, granted, that would be my concern no matter where they built it at. It could be in Bethlehem, PA. That would be a concern. Just because of the clientele. So I mean, but again, they got it. They in the profit of making money. So we'll see. I just want to know how this is going to go over, what the fight is going to be like now, because there is going to be a fight. There is going to be a fight. And question, do you think that this whole New Jersey thing is just a ploy to get people off, to make people say, see, y'all going to make us lose the team?
Yeah. I think that was leverage. I think all along, I don't think there was anything to the jersey. I think Jersey. I don't doubt that Camden wants, and New Jersey would want to have would want to pilfer another professional sports arena from the tri-state area. I mean, they've done a great job of getting the team to New York, but from what I'm hearing, there was nothing ever serious about losing that team to New Jersey, about losing the 76ers to New Jersey. It was one of those things that a few people talked about it. They looked at it in the distance and said, yeah, it would be nice to have the 76ers. Let's put it out there. But that was embryonic at best. You know what I mean, Keith? It was just never going to happen.
Yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense at the time. And it did look like, hey, if y'all don't want, if you mess around and you keep talking that yap, you're going to lose it somewhere else, and y'all going to lose jobs. It's all going to go to the state of New Jersey. And guess what? They want to give us $400 million to make this thing work.
Yeah.
So do what you want to. Do what you want to. So, we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot to talk about. When we get,
I mean, it's interesting. It's in the offing, but it would take a miracle for it not to happen. A miracle in a bad way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Huh?
I guess I can talk about eBay Motors right now as we get ready for another segment. We can talk about our man Jeff Dowtin on the other side. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. And it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. It's got superchargers, roof rack, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible old items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
Yeah, so now turn our attention to Jeff Dowtin. So Jeff Dowtin is a guy who, he played extremely well for the summer league team. Like, he was the best. He was their most consistent player. I give him that. He was their most consistent player. I'm not gonna say he was their best player. I'm gonna say, but he was their most consistent player. The thing is, you look at it and they don't have the money. I was a little shocked that they gave him a two-way though. I thought that they would probably sign him to a minimum, a veteran NBA minimum salary contract, and then keep him there that way. Because my thing is, here's a guy who's been in the league for 3 years. Here's a guy who was with the G League team last year, who was elevated to a two-way. And then from there, he was elevated to a full-fledged contract before Ricky Council was, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when they had a chance that they knew they were going to get Paul George, it was like, we're not going to extend you because we need this cap space, right? So my thing with him is like, you look at it and you say to yourself, I'm an NBA player. I know I can play in the league. Why am I going to take a two-way when I can get at least a minimum, an NBA veteran minimum? So to me, the fact that they retained him, but the fact that they retained him for a two-way was shocking to me that he would go for it, right? Now, what that tells me is they got somebody else in mind that they want to bring in as a point guard, right? And because if you didn't have another point guard, then you would say, okay, Jeff, you're going to be the third point guard, what have you, right? But that tells me you got somebody else. But he played well. Now he's 27 years old. He's been in the league for 3 years. So there comes a point where you're like, dang, like, I didn't know you could keep giving these dudes two ways like that. But he's played well. I mean, it benefits the Sixers. I mean, and I don't know what the offerings were out there for him, but you can see him fitting in on the Sixers regular roster, and that's the one thing that was shocking to me.
Yeah, they're not very, very deep at the point either. If you look at it, there's not a lot. There's not really a lot of depth there. I'm kind of surprised that somebody hasn't already snagged him for a minimum. It kind of makes you wonder. It also lets you realize that it's becoming more and more difficult for players to make at the end of summer. It's becoming more difficult for players to get a guaranteed deal, or a minimum deal, to play in this league. I mean, he's a 3-year vet now, and 27 years old. And he had his moments. But I like the fact that you say that they probably are still looking for another point guard. But where do you find that point guard? You don't find these guys just walking around on the streets, Keith?
Yeah, but it's going to be somebody from a buyout market. That's what it's going to have. You don't find walking down the street. It's going to be a veteran from a buyout market who can provide leadership. If you look at it, the trend is that they going after a lot of older veteran type of guys. And I'm telling you, that's what it's going to be. But, I mean, if you think about it, like this year, we're talking about you find it hard to believe he couldn't get a minimum. And it's true. But it's crazy because when you look at it right about now, you look at a guy like Markelle Fultz. I know he flamed out in Philly, but he kind of basically uh, rejuvenated his career in
Right.
Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's a free agent. He's unsigned. There's
Yeah.
only one team in the league that's below the salary cap, and
Wow.
that's the Detroit Pistons, right? So they the only team that got money. The Detroit Pistons are the only team. So he would have to get a minimum from somewhere, probably, right?
Yeah.
Unless he goes back to Orlando. Then you look at what's the guy? Oh man, put it this way, it's a bunch of dudes out there who you feel like, oh, Spencer Dinwiddie, a guy who
Mhm.
like was
Yeah.
bought out and went to the Lakers. He's still a free agent. So there are guys out there who should be getting paid, but they're not going to get paid. So
Right.
that's part of the problem right there.
Right.
But so I guess what it is with the Sixers, they probably like, look, we got better players that we want to give you this to. I mean, give that to if
Right.
they come available.
Right.
But I don't know. He seemed like he played his butt off and he was worthy enough to get that deal, but it didn't work out for him.
Yeah,
Didn't
but
work out.
like you said, it looks like they're trying to make another move with the limited resources they have at this point in the season.
Yeah. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So we'll see. I mean, what was your thoughts overall of what's his name? Jared McCain.
I mean, he's starting to play a little bit better. Uh, he's if I'm not mistaken against Boston, his 3-point shot, he was 3 for 7. And if I recall, and I'm in full transparency, I did not see that game, but I do see that he had like 15 points in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Again, I have my questions about his athleticism, his quickness, and what kind of defensive player he can be. But it's good to see that he's starting to play a little better and starting to show signs. Um, at least, because at one point when he was shooting like 26% through about 6 games in the summer league, you're like, the one thing they want him to do is shoot, and he's shooting the ball horribly. He's shooting it a little bit better now. And he's a rookie, man. He's a guy who, 1 year of college under his belt. Uh, you know, so we'll see. We'll see what the young boy has. Right now, I have my questions like everybody else does, but that's what a rookie year is about. This is what summer league is about. You find out what you can, a little bit of what you can and can't do, and you go from there.
Yeah, and this as we talked about before, this is going to be a different role. Like he's not going to have that role when he's playing with the Sixers. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You're not going to be distributing. He's not going to do that. He's going to be a space setter. He knows that. There's going to be different types of defenders. Now, granted, a lot of this was zone, but matchup, and there was sometimes guys were picking him up right in the
yeah.
summer league. So it's going to be different for him and we'll see. We'll see. But look, y'all, Mitch dropped some knowledge today. We're gonna wait to see when this stuff plays out. But my man Mitch, and that's what's gonna happen. So all the people worrying about going to Jersey, this and that, nah, it's gonna be to continue to be the Philadelphia 76ers. And let's be real, there was a lot of stuff that had to be involved from to go to Jersey. Like we talked about it.
Right,
Building a practice facility over there is completely different than playing your games there. You got to get all the owners on board. You got to
right,
do this. You got to do that. And Philadelphia is, first of all, is the main thing. I don't even think teams would want to go there because then it would be traffic, more traffic. And what I mean by that is, let's keep it real. So they don't have, if they want to, these teams have to stay in these 5-star hotels. That's part of their collective
right.
bargaining. They don't have any 5-star hotels in Camden, right? So
True.
which means is you're gonna have to have those buses
Yeah,
over in Philly. And then what happened is during rush hour traffic, they're gonna have to get on those buses to come over the bridge. And
right.
if y'all know what that's like in for a person like myself who lives in Jersey now, I know what it's like at rush hour, kind of come over that Ben Franklin Bridge, right? And that's what they would have to go through, go over there. So, and then after that, you got to hop on the bus to head back over to the Philadelphia airport.
Right.
Whereas, you know, the thing is, like, it's crazy. South Philly is right there, though. But
Yeah.
but whereas it's just a lot involved that teams gotta from different organizations have to vote on and this and that. And I never saw that happening. I never saw that happening. And you know, they got the 5 star. Think about it. Where do the teams stay? They tend to stay downtown.
Yeah.
They stay
Yeah.
downtown
Yeah.
in their 5 star hotel. So yeah, this was going to work out great for them. So
yeah, I think it's a win-win.
yeah, it's a
I
win-win.
think it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. It's definitely a win-win. So look, y'all, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. For my man Mitch, this is Keith. We want to say peace and have a blessed day, y'all.
Have a great one.